Mortal Kombat 12 is officially called Mortal Kombat 1, and it will be available to the masses beginning September 19th. Mortal Kombat 12 leaks have been spilling online for months now, with some of the finer details about the fighting game revealed ahead of its release date trailer. Prior to the official confirmation, leakers let it be known that Mortal Kombat 12 would actually be called Mortal Kombat 1, and that it would effectively be a reboot of the series. This was proven true by the official release date trailer, which confirmed story details, the aforementioned release date, and some of the characters that will make up the game's roster come its launch in September. Once the September 19th release date rolls around, Mortal Kombat fans can look forward to playing as 9 series mainstays. This includes Kitana, Kung Lao, Fire God Liu Kang, Mileena, Raiden, Scorpion, Shang Tsung, as a pre-order bonus, Johnny Cage and Sub-Zero. It's almost certain that many other characters will join the Mortal Kombat 1 roster, including longtime favorites and new faces, but fans will have to wait for more official reveals on that front. Besides confirming the playable characters for Mortal Kombat 1, the trailer also revealed what fans can expect from the game's story. It seems that the canon ending for the Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath expansion is the one where Liu Kang creates a new universe. Despite Liu Kang eliminating Shang Tsung in that ending, though, the longtime Mortal Kombat villain has somehow returned. While the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer doesn't appear to show any gameplay, it may still give fans an idea of what to expect from fatalities. The trailer ends with an onslaught of extremely graphic and over-the-top violence as the various members of the Mortal Kombat 1 roster are eviscerated in the most brutal ways possible. It could be that these are CGI representations of actual Mortal Kombat fatalities that will be used in the new game, but fans will have to wait on that front. Luckily, fighting game fans won't have to wait quite all the way until September to try Mortal Kombat 1 for themselves. A beta will go live in August for those that pre-order on PlayStation and Xbox, though the extent of it has yet to be detailed. It's unclear when more official information on Mortal Kombat 1 will come to light, but there are some strong choices in the near future. Sony is hosting a PlayStation Showcase event on May 24th, while Xbox is hosting its own event on June 11th. It wouldn't be a surprise at all to see the game make an appearance at one or both of those big events. Following the recent announcement of Mortal Kombat 1, pre-order bonuses have been announced along with the game's release date. Whether players intend on pre-ordering the game or not, the immersive story mode, expanded roster, and unique gameplay elements promised for Mortal Kombat 1 show that NetherRealm is intending to deliver a worthwhile experience for fans of the iconic fighting game franchise. Mortal Kombat 1 trailer introduces players to a reimagined universe, breathing new life into the long-running franchise. The trailer also revealed that regardless of the edition chosen, all pre-orders include the legendary Shang Tsung as an in-game playable character. Moreover, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S pre-orders grant access to the Mortal Kombat 1 beta, slated for release in August 2023, and players who are willing to pay for one of the premium editions of the game will even get to play it early. The Standard Edition, priced at $70, offers both physical and digital copies for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC, including Steam and Epic Games Store. For those seeking an enhanced experience, the Premium Edition, priced at $110, includes the Combat Pack, granting early access to the game from September 14th, 1,250 Dragon Crystals, in-game currency, and additional content such as character skins and cameo fighters. For the ultimate Mortal Kombat enthusiasts, the Collector's Edition, priced at $250, exclusively available for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, which includes all Premium Edition content along with a 16.5-inch Liu Kang sculpture, an inspired Liu Kang in-game character skin, exclusive art prints, and extra Dragon Crystals. One of the exciting additions in Mortal Kombat 1 is the introduction of cameo fighters. This unique roster of partner characters look to bring a new dynamic to gameplay, offering opportunities for assistance during matches. Hopefully this mechanic will expand gameplay possibilities when the player teams up with an ally to adding strategic depth and unpredictability to a fight. Mortal Kombat 1 promises to redefine the iconic franchise with its reimagined universe, compelling narrative, and innovative gameplay elements. With the various pre-order options and bonuses listed, Universe's fans can secure their copy of Mortal Kombat 1, along with some cool bonuses. The first look at Mortal Kombat 1 confirms the canon ending of Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, which saw Fire God Liu Kang and Shang Tsung fight to take control of Kronika's power to rewrite history. Mortal Kombat 1 will pick up the story where Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath ended and continue to follow the adventures of the popular characters from this fighting game series. Aftermath is an expansion for Mortal Kombat 11 that took place right after Kronika's defeat. Fire God Liu Kang and Raiden tried to use her hourglass to rewrite history, but Shang Tsung has other plans and fought against them to steal this powerful artifact and create his own new era. Players could either make Fire God Liu Kang win and forge his new era to train the great Kung Lao to become his champion in Mortal Kombat, or Shang Tsung could win and gain Liu Kang's powers to turn Raiden and Fujin into his servants. At the end of Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, fans were left wondering whether Liu Kang or Shang Tsung won, and what was going to happen to the Mortal Kombat universe. The first official trailer for Mortal Kombat 1 confirms that Liu Kang's ending was canon in Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, as the Fire God states that he created a new reality, giving everyone the choice to either live in quiet serenity or to continue fighting. Since Liu Kang is the one who created his own new era, this means his ending was the canon one in Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. Despite being defeated in that ending, Shang Tsung somehow manages to return in Mortal Kombat 1. With the game fully revealed, NetherRealm was quick to confirm a lot of details regarding the game. This includes how it is the start of a new universe that was formed following the events of Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath's canon ending, though not strictly a continuation of the DLC's events. In any case, with this game's new era, according to Liu Kang, the characters will have completely different roles compared to their counterparts from the previous timeline. This shuffling of roles will obviously affect how certain characters interact, which was commented on by Boon himself. This was in response to a question on Twitter, where user Xaziz posits that Mortal Kombat's Mileena was always created by the villainous sorcerer Shang Tsung in previous timelines, which includes the original 3 games and Mortal Kombat 9. However, it raises the question of who created Mileena if Shang Tsung didn't exist in Liu Kang's new era. Boon was happy to answer that, stating the answer will be revealed in Mortal Kombat 1 story mode. Boon says that not only will Mileena's new origin be explored in Mortal Kombat 1, but several characters will be getting new backstories if his "lots of origin stuff" statement is to be believed. The game's trailer did tease this as well in some ways, where mortal enemies or rivals, like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, unite as comrades instead of immediately engaging in a fight. This should prove to provide some interesting iterations and dynamics between these classic characters. Despite Shang Tsung's definitive defeat in 11 Malawian Kwacha's Aftermath, he has returned somehow and threatens the peace of Liu Kang's new era. One of the questions that Boon answered was regarding the game's title and why they went with Mortal Kombat 1. According to the developer, the game is going to be the start of a new universe, as some fans might have suspected following the events of the Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath DLC. Boon clarifies that it's not a continuation of MK11's story, as the characters in this game will have completely different roles compared to their previous timeline counterparts. He states that he wanted to emphasize this fresh start with the game's title. He goes on to say that Mortal Kombat 1 is a brand new beginning, with its characters being reintroduced in new roles and relationships, which was the main catalyst as to why the game is titled 1 Malawian Kwacha. Scorpion and Sub-Zero have been rivals ever since their conceptions, seen as members of opposing clans. While they've always been known to come to bloody blows, 2011's Mortal Kombat 9 reboot took it a step further in promotional material. Cinematics featuring detailed depictions of the ninjas battling were a part of the game's marketing, going on to further solidify the deep roots of the rivalry in the minds of fans. 4 years later, Mortal Kombat 10 would premiere an iconic cinematic trailer that saw the rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero continue. At this point, the two were seen as mortal enemies whose battles would always keep the action flowing for the series, as their rivalry was always front and center. 2019's Mortal Kombat 11 progressed the reboot timeline into its conclusion, serving as the third entry in the Mortal Kombat 9 saga. This installment surprised many fans when it utilized its narrative focus to progress the arcs of its characters as well. The past game's narrative saw Scorpion becoming humanized in a way he has never truly been depicted, a shock to many fans. On a surface level, the game has a similar status quo to the past entries because Mortal Kombat 11 still played it safe by including time-traveling past versions of characters that lacked the same development. The cinematic trailer was a bold declaration that the series is moving forward, showcasing Fire God Liu Kang's new role as overseer of this new universe. This development directly follows the ending of Mortal Kombat 11's Aftermath DLC, making Mortal Kombat 1 function as a subversive requel. Keeping with this pattern, young versions of Scorpion and Sub-Zero were shown wearing nearly identical outfits, clearly referencing their asset-flipped roots. However, the rivals don't appear to be that at all anymore. The two stand together as allies, the narrator calling them united as brothers. Mortal Kombat 1 seems committed to defying the tropes of the franchise, even though fans have yet to become tired of Sub-Zero and Scorpion's unending conflict. NetherRealm Studios is likely more focused on building up the concept of a greater antagonistic force that the fighters will have to unite against. Series rivals Kitana and Mileena are similarly seen not killing each other in MK1's trailer, showing an intentional subversion of the franchise's mortal enemy dynamic. It's unknown what circumstances would cause Scorpion and Sub-Zero to now look similar, down to their hairstyles and small outfit details, as they have historically hailed from disparate rival ninja clans. Liu Kang's new reality is likely to continue to defy player expectations as more details emerge. Liu Kang created a world of peace, yet Shang Tsung still somehow invaded and caused carnage. Despite Liu Kang's supposed godliness, he still engages in violent revenge. This entire new reality itself could follow the trend of subversion, and fan ideas about the series will likely continue to be challenged as more details, characters, and changes for Mortal Kombat 1 are revealed. The two original Mortal Kombat characters who have yet to be confirmed for the Mortal Kombat 1 roster are Kano and Sonya Blade. Both characters have appeared in nearly every other Mortal Kombat game to date with some exceptions, so it would be surprising if they don't make the cut. There is still quite a bit of time between now and when Mortal Kombat 1's release date rolls around in September, so there will certainly be many more character reveals for the new game, though the jury is still out on whether Kano and Sonya will be included or not. Considering Mortal Kombat 1's status as a reboot of sorts for the franchise, it would make sense for Kano and Sonya Blade to be featured on the base roster. In the meantime, fans may be wondering about a couple of other characters that appeared in the original Mortal Kombat game in non-playable roles who have yet to be confirmed for one Malawi and Kwacha. Goro and Reptile are both missing from the game so far, but again, there's still plenty of time for them to be announced. In addition to its cinematic story mode, recent NetherRealm titles have typically featured unique gameplay components. Mortal Kombat 10 had a variation system resembling character loadouts. Injustice 2 brought in custom gear pieces that would change character stats in different ways, while the most recent title, Mortal Kombat 11, taking that gear system and allowing further player expression through character customization. Now, it appears that Mortal Kombat 1 will feature its own unique gameplay mechanics as well. In a press release from Warner Bros. Games, the company announced a cameo fighter system in Mortal Kombat 1. Essentially, cameo fighters are what Warner Bros. Is calling a unique roster of partner characters that can assist players during matches. Unfortunately, the press release is extremely light on further details, but on paper it almost sounds like a system similar to a Marvel vs. Capcom, where players can call in help from an NPC ally. NetherRealm's chief creative officer and Mortal Kombat co-founder Ed Boon confirmed that they would be showing off this mechanic very soon, but stopped short of revealing anything more. However, a premium and collector's edition version of Mortal Kombat 1 were also revealed, and as one of the bonuses, players can get 5 new cameo fighters post-launch. So it's clear that in addition to expanding the playable roster, new cameo fighters are also being planned as DLC as well. With most fighting games, the character roster is a popular topic as fans debate who they think will be making the cut. With Mortal Kombat 1, fans have been not only speculating which legacy characters they'd like to see, but new leaks have seemingly confirmed some interesting guest characters. While not officially announced, recent Mortal Kombat 1 leaks indicated that Homelander, Conan the Barbarian, and DC's Peacemaker will be joining the roster at some point. Considering NetherRealm's guest track record, it's not too outlandish to think it could happen. Amazon has leaked the characters included in Combat Pack 1, the first DLC selection for the newly announced Mortal Kombat 1, which will seemingly include 6 playable characters, 3 guest characters, and 5 cameo characters. If Mortal Kombat 1 follows a similar pattern to 11 Malawian Kwachas, fans can expect this combat pack to be the first of a few. The playable characters of One Malawian Kwacha Combat Pack 1 are Quan Chi, Omni-Man, Ermac, Peacemaker, Takeda, and Homelander. Longtime fans will no doubt be happy to see characters like Quan Chi, Ermac, and Takeda return, but the guest characters seem top-notch too. Peacemaker and Homelander appeared in a separate Mortal Kombat 1 leak, but Omni-Man is a surprise. His brutality is certainly welcome in the Mortal Kombat universe. Meanwhile, the cameo characters include Tremor, Johnny Cage, Chameleon, Mavado, and Farah. It should be noted that, while Johnny Cage is listed here as a One Malawian Kwacha cameo character, this is likely an alternative version of the character. Johnny Cage has already been confirmed for Mortal Kombat 1's main roster already, though it is possible this is a mistake. The information comes from Amazon Italy. The retailer likely received advanced information to prepare its sales page but accidentally published the DLC content ahead of time. Months before any concrete information regarding Mortal Kombat 1 was revealed, Ed Boon took to Twitter to answer fan questions regarding NetherRealm's past and future titles. Asked about his plans for post-launch support for Mortal Kombat 11, Boon asserted that the game was the longest the studio had kept with a title in terms of DLC content and balance patches. But that its next game, which at the time of the answer was unknown to the public, would break that record for longest-running post-launch support. Between the admission from Boon and the ambitious reboot highlighted by the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer, it is clear that NetherRealm has big plans for its next title. Fire God Liu Kang's reshaping of the world following Mortal Kombat 11 is likely to have had unexpected ripple effects that will come to the surface in Mortal Kombat 1. While his actions were meant to bring peace, Fire God Liu Kang's intentions may not be as noble as they first appear. Allowing unchecked violence and bloodshed to continue in his new world could be the first sign of Fire God Liu Kang's transformation into the same sort of villain he once fought against, setting the stage for a long-overdue redemption arc for Mortal Kombat 1's combatants. In the face of a new threat posed by Fire God Liu Kang, some former enemies may have to put aside their differences to take him down and save the Mortal Kombat universe. Forcing former enemies into uneasy alliances would be a good way to flesh out and potentially resolve some of the franchise's long-running rivalries, even affecting the gameplay. Using the new cameo fighter system in Mortal Kombat 1, players could see sworn enemies like Sub-Zero and Scorpion teaming up mid-match to take down Fire God Liu Kang and his minions. Depending on how Mortal Kombat 1's story plays out, even stalwart series villain Shang Tsung could see himself eventually allying with the heroes. Seeing the powerful sorcerer working with the original Mortal Kombat characters to battle against Fire God Liu Kang would be an unexpected and thrilling reversal of the series' usual status quo. Not only would this shake up the universe, but it would lay the ground for Mortal Kombat 1 sequels and expansions in a reshaped world. Having Fire God Liu Kang turn towards tyranny in his pursuit of a better world is a bold move for the franchise that fits perfectly with the reimagined timeline of Mortal Kombat 1. Shaking up the series status quo in this manner would not only allow for some thrilling team-ups between former foes, but also establish Mortal Kombat 1 as the beginning of a whole new era for the storied franchise. Rather than keep fans waiting, NetherRealm Studios has confirmed when Mortal Kombat 1's gameplay will officially be unveiled. Confirmation was delivered via the Summer Game Fest Twitter account, which posted, "Don't miss the world gameplay premiere of Mortal Kombat 1 when Ed Boon joins Jeff Keighley live on stage at Summer Game Fest on Thursday, June 8th. It seems that Mortal Kombat co-creator Ed Boon will be attending the June digital presentation and will share Mortal Kombat 1's gameplay reveal himself. This year's Summer Game Fest is expected to run 2 hours and will feature game announcements and reveals from dozens of partners. NetherRealm Studios will be one such partner. The gameplay reveal could happen at any point within those 2 hours. With the announcement of rollback netcode, a new cameo fighters gameplay system, a soft reset to the narrative, and a commitment to long-term support, fans are eager to learn more about Mortal Kombat 1 as its release date looms. Ever since Nintendo and Sega battled it out in the 90s, gamers have been invested in the so-called console wars. While used as an excuse for fans of competing brands to fling insults at each other online, the console wars also refer to the sales competition between the different gaming console manufacturers. The rise of PlayStation and the debut of Xbox saw Sega eventually drop out of the race entirely. For a time, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo were all in direct competition with one another. One could argue this changed with the 7th generation of consoles. Nintendo stopped trying to compete directly with other consoles in terms of power and instead focused on doing its own thing, releasing the Wii to massive success. Xbox and PlayStation remained in direct conflict, however, with the PS3 and Xbox 360 battling it out for hardcore gamers' dollars. A fight continued by the Xbox One and PS4. While the Xbox 360 had serious momentum behind it, the Xbox One stumbled out of the gate with its plans for absolutely bizarre, anti-consumer online requirements and used game restrictions. Phil Spencer says making great games wouldn't be enough for Xbox to claw out of third place in the console race, which is not true and a loser's mentality. In an appearance on the Kinda Funny Xcast published on YouTube, Spencer laid out the reason for the company's pursuit of subscription services like Game Pass and cloud gaming technology. "We're not in the business of outconsoling Sony or outconsoling Nintendo," Spencer said. "There isn't really a great solution or win for us. And I know that will upset a ton of people, but the truth of the matter is, when you're third place in the console marketplace and the top 2 players are as strong as they are and have in certain cases a very discreet focus on doing deals and other things that kind of make being Xbox hard for us as a team, that's on us, not on anybody else." These are his words that contradicts his previous interviews where he said they won't be the leader in the console market. Spencer said Microsoft is invested in making sure Xbox owners have a great experience and feel catered to, but seemed to acknowledge it can't beat Sony or Nintendo using a traditional console strategy. "I see it out there, I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around," he said. "It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. This idea that if we just focused more on great games on our console, that somehow we're going to win the console race, I think doesn't relate to the reality of most people." Spencer said around 90% of people who buy consoles each year are already in one of the 3 main console ecosystems. And the switching costs are higher now that people have established digital libraries they can carry forward from a prior generation. "This is the first generation where the big games they're playing were games that were available last gen, when you think about Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft," Spencer said. "The continuity from generation to generation is so strong. I see a lot of pundits out there that kind of want to go back to the time when we all had cartridges and discs, and every new generation was a clean slate and you could switch the whole console share. That's just not the world that we are in today. There is no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people are selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. Yes, people are not going to sell their PS5s, but they will buy an Xbox." Spencer stressed again that the console is the core of the Xbox brand and Microsoft will continue to focus on that despite its differing strategy, which is just a PR stunt to look like they care about Xbox. Spencer's argument is that even if Xbox delivers an incredible 11 out of 10 game, people won't jump ship from PlayStation, but the theory hasn't really been tested. Comparing the last decade of PlayStation exclusive games to Xbox exclusives paints a pretty clear picture. Whereas PlayStation has consistently delivered acclaimed games, Xbox has lagged behind considerably. There are significant stretches of time between Xbox exclusive games, and when they do come out, they sometimes release to mixed or negative gamer reception or have some other controversy weighing them down. Xbox exclusive games have been lacking these past 10 years. The Forza Horizon series has been reliable and Gears 5 was okay, definitely not on the level of the trilogy, but when comparing Xbox's output to Sony or Nintendo, it looks like the green brand isn't seriously trying to compete. Take Halo Infinite, for example. Despite Halo being Xbox's flagship franchise, Halo Infinite was saddled with a head-scratching monetization scheme and content droughts that obliterated its community despite many agreeing that the actual core gameplay was quite good. Couple that with the fact that Halo Infinite failed to keep its split-screen co-op promise, released without Forge mode, and launched with a single-player-only campaign for the first time in franchise history with a bland open world, and it's easy to see why it may not have driven as much interest in Xbox as previous games in the series. Another significant Xbox exclusive game from this past decade is the online multiplayer pirate game Sea of Thieves. While Sea of Thieves eventually turned around its reputation, the game launched to mixed reviews and was criticized for a lack of content and performance problems. Big first-party games need to launch as truly complete, polished experiences out of the gate. While there are some exceptions to the rule, that's what everyone expects from Sony and Nintendo, and so it's fair for them to expect the same from Microsoft. Even if Microsoft produces a killer app on the level of the original Halo or Gears of War for modern Xbox consoles, it still won't be a true exclusive. Xbox published games release on PC the same day they're on Xbox. This might be consumer-friendly, but it gives people little reason to get an Xbox. For many gamers, it may make more sense to get a gaming PC to go with their PlayStation, as opposed to getting an Xbox to play the console-exclusive games. Spencer goes on to say that Xbox lost the worst generation to lose when the PS4 beat Xbox One because people now have a significantly larger library of games, making them less likely to jump ship to another console. This idea that if we just focused more on great games on our console that somehow we're gonna win the console race, doesn't relate to the reality of most people, Spencer said. This is the first generation where the big games they're playing were games that were available last gen. When you think about Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft, the continuity from generation to generation is so strong. I see a lot of pundits out there who want to go back to the time when we all had cartridges and discs, and every new generation was a clean slate, and you could switch the whole console share. That's just not the world we are in today, he said. While it's true that many gamers have amassed sizable digital libraries and may be more inclined to stick with a specific system, the same logic could still apply to physical game collections from past generations. Take the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation for instance. When the PS3 originally launched, it was backward compatible with PS1 and PS2 games. Despite fans having a large library of PS1 and PS2 games they could play on their PS3, many gamers jumped ship to the Xbox 360 thanks to things like the PS3's higher price and smaller library of high-quality exclusive games. The Xbox 360's strong start was fumbled by the red ring of death issues and the slowing of high-quality exclusive releases. The Xbox 360 ultimately finished in third place when it came to the 7th generation console sales. Then the Xbox One was trounced by the PlayStation 4, and it's obvious that the PS5 is outselling the Xbox Series X and S consoles. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer is disappointed with the launch of Redfall, a recently released vampire-infested first-person shooter developed by Arcane Studios. Redfall has suffered harsh criticism from reviewers and players alike, with many questioning why the title was even released in the state that it's in. There was a significant degree of skepticism concerning Redfall ever since its initial reveal. Lackluster previews and the absence of a performance mode on Xbox Series X did little but fuel these concerns. And even after a delay pushed it to 2023, Redfall's eventual May launch served only to confirm what many had feared. The fallout has raised questions about the state of Xbox, so there could not be a better time to hear answers from the man at the very top. Phil Spencer joined Kinda Funny Xcast, a podcast centered around all things Xbox, and was quickly questioned about Redfall's launch. Spencer did not mince his words, taking responsibility for disappointing the Xbox community before stating that he was disappointed with himself and that a review of certain processes would have to occur. He acknowledged that the past few weeks likely felt like a punch in the chin to Xbox gamers and fans. Citing the announcement that Redfall would not arrive with a 60 frames per second option on Xbox Series X as an example. Spencer went on to stress that the last thing he will do is push against the creative aspirations of our teams, and does not want studios to feel trapped into making one type of video game. Grounded, Sea of Thieves, and Hi-Fi Rush were listed as testaments to that philosophy. But people that left Playground Games and 343 stated the opposite, and weren't allowed to create their vision. Spencer also noted that the critical response was neither what the team wanted nor expected, claiming that internal mock reviews scored Redfall double digits higher. Spencer explained that if a title is failing to achieve its creative vision, as dictated by the developers, a delay can do very little to remedy that. He stated that a fundamental piece of feedback Xbox is receiving about Redfall is that the game did not fulfill its own creative vision. In hindsight, Spencer feels that Microsoft should have stepped in earlier during Redfall's development to help Arcane meet its internal goals, a mistake that he claims hasn't been repeated with Bethesda's Starfield. Unlike Redfall, Starfield was still in an earlier stage of development when Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda occurred. And Microsoft has had close and regular communications with Todd Howard and his team on Starfield's progress, scope, and overall vision. Spencer laments that Xbox didn't do a good job in communicating with Arcane Austin, it's ultimately an issue that will not follow Starfield as it eyes its release date of September 6th. When early production was in 2020, and Starfield was said to be worked from 2013, what did they do all those years, and if this is true, then is Starfield ready to launch or even a delay could save it? Bethesda is likely to face even more increased pressure to deliver a hit with its upcoming action RPG Starfield after the publisher's co-op vampire shooter Redfall failed to land with gamers. Phil said same things after the launch of Crackdown 3, Halo Infinite and no launch games for the new Xbox Series consoles. This whole interview was pre-recorded in a PR stunt, to make them look like the honest and good guy. But knowledgeable gamers know that he doesn't know what a good game is. Xbox needs a change at leadership like Peter Moore, who is cutthroat and console-focused. Not this service-based shit. Or Xbox might go third-party, if Starfield doesn't hit and the ABK deal doesn't go through. This interview is a disrespect to gaming and gamers. Speaking of the Activision Blizzard King deal. The European Commission has given final approval to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard after the Xbox maker made 10-year commitments to address regulator concerns in the growing cloud streaming market. While the Commission's preliminary investigation identified concerns around the deal having negative impacts in the console, PC, and multi-game subscription markets, after an in-depth look into the issues, it ultimately determined some of those were non-issues. It agreed that Microsoft would have no incentive to withhold games from PlayStation consoles in Europe, as the European Economic Area, EEA, has 4 PlayStation systems for every Xbox system, and the Call of Duty franchise is not as big in Europe as in other markets. Even if it did, they think that it would not affect console sales. As for competing subscription services, the Commission decided that they would not have put its games into them for fear of cannibalizing sales. Therefore, the situation for third-party providers of multi-game subscription services would not change after the acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. However, the Commission did determine that the deal would harm competition in cloud gaming services, and could further strengthen Microsoft's hold on PC operating systems with Windows. To address those concerns, Microsoft offered to give consumers in the EEA a free license to stream all current and future Activision Blizzard PC and console games for which they have a license, and to stream them through the cloud streaming service of their choice. Along with that, Microsoft also offered a free license to cloud streaming services to allow players in the EEA to stream any of Activision Blizzard's PC and console games. Both commitments have a 10-year term on them, and the Commission said Microsoft's remedies also ensured that streaming games will have the same quality and content as traditionally downloaded titles. In a post on Twitter, Microsoft Vice Chair and President Brad Smith said the commitment to license Activision Blizzard games to competing companies would apply globally. The deal still faces obstacles in the UK, where the Competition and Markets Authority has blocked it pending appeal, and the US, where the Federal Trade Commission has filed suit to stop the acquisition. The UK CMA released a statement on the EU approval, saying, the UK, US and European competition authorities are unanimous that this merger would harm competition in cloud gaming. The CMA concluded that cloud gaming needs to continue as a free, competitive market to drive innovation and choice in this rapidly evolving sector. Microsoft's proposals, accepted by the European Commission today, would allow Microsoft to set the terms and conditions for this market for the next 10 years. They would replace a free, open and competitive market with one subject to ongoing regulation of the games Microsoft sells, the platforms to which it sells them, and the conditions of sale. This is one of the reasons the CMA's independent panel group rejected Microsoft's proposals and prevented this deal. While we recognize and respect that the European Commission is entitled to take a different view, the CMA stands by its decision. CMA's chair Marcus Bockerink and chief executive Sarah Cardell fielded questions, including about the assumption that blocking the deal may negatively impact the UK's international reputation. In response, Bockerink said, the UK has always encouraged, and it is the CMA's duty to encourage, open competitive markets. We are vigilant, as it is our duty to be, to investments that consolidate an already entrenched market power. I would challenge the premise that there is an impact on international confidence on doing business in the UK. Bockerink suggested that if the acquisition went through it would be turning a blind eye to anti-competitive mergers. The Business and Trade Committee also asked why the CMA and EU came to different conclusions about the acquisition, as the European Commission approved the deal just yesterday. Cardell said the decision was attributed to the regulator refusing Microsoft's proposition to protect the cloud gaming market. The European Commission agreed the deal would give rise to competition concerns. There's no difference between the CMA and EC there, Cardell said. But the Commission has however concluded it appropriate to accept Microsoft's remedy. They have their own test to apply and they've reached their own view, and they're fully entitled to reach that view. But we remain of the view, from a UK perspective, that it was not appropriate to accept that remedy. When the CMA blocked the deal, it was over concerns that the deal would alter the future of the fast-growing cloud gaming market. Cardell also noted that the Federal Trade Commission filed suit in the US to stop the acquisition in December of last year. In a subsequent interim order published on May 11, the CMA imposed additional restrictions on the proposed deal. While the previous ruling forbade Microsoft from acquiring Activision Blizzard, the regulator has now also taken steps to prevent an opposite scenario. Its latest order hence states that Activision Blizzard is forbidden from acquiring any kind of direct or indirect stake in Microsoft without prior approval from the CMA. The CMA's final report exhaustively spells out the authority's reasoning for unexpectedly blocking Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard and is over 400 pages in length. Under Section 11.26, the document reveals that the CMA's normal practice would be to block the merger for a period of 10 years unless the circumstances changed somehow. It is possible for Microsoft to appeal to the Competition Appeal Tribunal, CAT, in an effort to get the matter revisited, but this process can take months, and the matter would fall back into the hands of the CMA in the event that the appeal is successful. Microsoft has confirmed the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard has been approved in China. In a statement to GamesIndustry.biz, a Microsoft spokesperson said, "China's unconditional clearance of our acquisition of Activision Blizzard follows clearance decisions from jurisdictions such as the European Union and Japan, bringing the total to 37 countries representing more than 2 billion people. China's approval would follow that of Ukraine, Japan, Brazil, Chile, Saudi Arabia, Serbia, South Africa and most notably the European Union, which announced its decision last week. The EU is one of 3 major markets Microsoft needs to win over in order to get the deal through. However, regulators for the other 2, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority and the US Federal Trade Commission, have both made moves to block the acquisition. After all of us thought it is dead after the CMA block, this EU approval rekindled the flames a little bit. Let's hope this news dies down soon, either way it goes." Remedy Entertainment's cult classic sequel, Alan Wake 2, has its release date set according to the titular character's voice actor. 2 years ago, the Game Awards revealed Alan Wake 2, and it was a surprising announcement among a flood of other games at the show. This sequel was for a rather overlooked cult classic game of Remedy Entertainment's library, where it was a game many wanted to see but never thought would happen. After a little over a decade since the previous game, gamers will be revisiting the town of Bright Falls with a survival horror-inspired twist to it. Despite its initial announcement, there has been little gameplay footage regarding the game from Remedy Entertainment. However, Remedy has kept fans abreast with information about what to expect with regular updates. The last update regarding Alan Wake 2 was that it would be on track to release this year, with a statement from its CEO, Tero Virtala, that the game also entered its final stage of production earlier this April. Its release date has also potentially been narrowed down according to Alan Wake's voice actor, Matthew Peretta. This statement comes from an interview on the Monsters, Madness, and Magic podcast, with host Justin Young interviewing Peretta. In this episode of the podcast, around 16:37 of the VOD on YouTube, Young states that one of his all-time favorite games was Alan Wake and asked how Peretta got the role as the author. Peretta however lets it slip that he believes Alan Wake 2's release date will be later this October. Peretta mentions that he was working with Remedy Entertainment on the sequel and that he was just in Finland the previous week as of the recording of this podcast. The release date makes sense because a horror game would be perfect for the October 2023 season. That said, it will have to contend with other heavy hitters of the season, like Mortal Kombat 1 or other games that might release within the same timeframe. It's not clear if this was an internal placeholder date, and it could have been changed between Peretta's statement and Remedy Entertainment, so this should be taken with a grain of salt for now. At the very least, with Alan Wake 2 finishing its production soon, it wouldn't be unexpected to hear more news about the game soon. Its release date could possibly be revealed at this month's PlayStation Showcase or Xbox's summer event. Regardless, it seems like the wait for Alan Wake 2 is almost over. A new gameplay trailer for the new Lords of the Fallen game has released, and with it a confirmed release date as well as a slew of pre-order information. Lords of the Fallen is a dark fantasy Souls-like game which takes heavy inspiration from Software's industry-defining Dark Souls. Not to be confused with CI Games' 2014 title of the same name, this new Lords of the Fallen was originally confirmed as Lords of the Fallen 2 in December 2014, set to be released in 2017. Now 9 years later, after some studio shakeups, the sequel has dropped the 2, and is ready to perhaps give the franchise a fresh start after the original game's mediocre reception almost a decade ago. In a brand new gameplay trailer, Lords of the Fallen has finally revealed its release date of October 13th. The trailer opens with a classically From Software-like cinematic with extremely somber characters talking and moving very slowly. Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark fades in as the gameplay footage starts to roll, giving glimpses of some of the fearsome enemies, bosses, and environments players will encounter on their journey through the dark land of Mornstead. Intercut with all the action are several voice lines and moments from story characters. Souls-like games are characteristically very light on traditional cutscene storytelling, but it seems like Lords of the Fallen may lean a bit into a slightly more active narrative. Gamers looking to pre-order this thrilling-looking Souls-like sequel will have the choice between Standard, Deluxe, and Collector's editions. The Deluxe Edition grants players the Dark Crusader starting class, which includes an in-game longsword, throwing knives, a full set of armor and an amulet. Additionally, the Deluxe Edition gives players a 100-page digital art book, a digital soundtrack, and an in-game 3D character model viewer. The Collector's Edition, which also includes everything from the Deluxe Edition, features a 10-inch Dark Crusader figurine as the crown jewel, as well as an LED-lit metal display case for the figure, a Lords of the Fallen Collector's Steelbook, a double-sided poster, and a set of art cards. All pre-orders for any edition will include exclusive bronze, silver, and gold armor colors as well as a small boost for players in the name of 3 XP items, 5 HP items, and 5 MP items. Lords of the Fallen has made its mark as the farthest confirmed AAA release date on the 2023 game calendar so far, after Xbox's Starfield and the freshly revealed Mortal Kombat 1 both land in September. Fans of games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring are sure to be excited to enter the bleak world of Mornstead to take on the array of challenging enemies and bosses Lords of the Fallen will have to offer. Night Dive Studios released the final trailer and the release date for System Shock Remake. The release date for System Shock is a relief to fans of the series after an incredibly long and complicated development process. System Shock is a first-person sci-fi action game similar to BioShock. The original game was released in 1994, setting players on a broken-down space station set in the year 2072. After the success of the first game, System Shock 2 was released in 1999. The first trailer for System Shock Remake was shown at Gamescom 2022, although the development process began in 2015. The official release date for System Shock is confirmed in the last frame of the trailer to be May 30th. In the trailer, fans will see quick glimpses of the nameless hacker using impressive-looking powers and weaponry. The less than 2-minute trailer showcases all the different monsters, aliens, and robots the player will need to crush, kill, and destroy, as well as how creepy the space station looks in this version of the game. Fans of the series will also get to hear Shodan, the main AI antagonist, set the tone of the game when she utters, "Welcome to my death machine, interloper." After a series of delays for System Shock, fans of the franchise can jump back on the space station later this month. The trailer itself gives no indication how faithful the remake will be compared to the original, or how much new content will be added. This final trailer is designed to please the fans of the original series as well as bring in new fans that enjoy games like BioShock or newer sci-fi offerings like Atomic Heart. For players who are interested but want to try out the game, the System Shock demo is available on Steam. With the success of Dead Space and Resident Evil, 2023 is looking to be a milestone year for fans of sci-fi and horror games, not to mention remakes of classic titles. This acts as both a blessing and a curse for System Shock. While many fans will be itching for another classic sci-fi remake to play, standing up to the likes of Dead Space and RE4 is a tall order. Especially a game that looks and feels like BioShock, which, much like Atomic Heart, can be a shadow that's impossible to get away from. Judging from this final trailer, however, it does appear that System Shock has a chance at being one of the best sci-fi games in 2023. Behavior Interactive, the team behind Dead by Daylight, has confirmed that 2 more games are in development. Dead by Daylight is an online 4v1 multiplayer game originally released in 2016 and has featured consistent updates, including fully licensed faces from the world of horror. The asymmetrical multiplayer title pits a team of gamers against a murderous opponent as they fight to survive the night. The killers can range from original creations to existing characters like Scream's Ghostface and the iconic 80s killer Freddy from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Most recently, Hollywood actor Nicolas Cage was confirmed to be coming to Dead by Daylight as a survivor. With the game hitting its 7th year, Behavior confirmed 2 more games are on the way. The biggest announcement of the day is that Behavior is planning to deliver 6 new Dead by Daylight chapters over the coming year, 2 of which will be survivor only. The next Dead by Daylight chapter is named End Transmission and will feature original content. That will be followed by a special survivor-only chapter featuring the Nicolas Cage character The Fog. 2 licensed killers will be released in subsequent chapters, then another survivor-only chapter, and then lastly another original chapter before Dead by Daylight's 8th anniversary in 2024. Keying in on End Transmission, Behavior describes it as the introduction of sci-fi horror to Dead by Daylight. The Toba landing map is set on an entirely different planet, haunted by a new killer named the Singularity, made up of restructured organic matter and machine parts. The survivor counterpart to the Singularity is Gabriel Soma, said to be a technician that's already survived the killing of his crew. End Transmission is scheduled to launch on June 13th. Past the arrival of End Transmission, Behavior plans to deliver the survivor-only Dead by Daylight chapter with Nicolas Cage on July 5th. Dead by Daylight company Behavior Interactive confirms 2 new games in the horror franchise are currently in the works. The first title is currently under development under Supermassive Games, who is best known for its own horror games including Until Dawn and 2022's Hit the Quarry. This is set to be a narrative-driven experience within the Dead by Daylight universe. The second game will be developed by Midwinter Entertainment and will be a cooperative multiplayer game, where players team up rather than battle against each other. Supermassive Games' title is said to be further ahead in development and will be revealed later this year. Midwinter Entertainment, whose only title is the defunct Battle Royale Scavengers, was acquired by Behavior in 2022. That team is only in the early stages of planning, so prospective players will have to wait a little longer for an official announcement on what form the multiplayer experience will take. For fans of Dead by Daylight, the news that there are 2 new games set within the same universe will be music to their ears. However, the news doesn't stop there, as the horror movie studio, Blumhouse, is currently planning a silver screen adaptation of Dead by Daylight with Saw director James Wan acting as a producer. God of War Ragnarok's art director Rafael Grassetti announced on Friday that it is his last day at Santa Monica Studio. This marks the end of the veteran game developer's decade-long career with Sony, though the senior God of War Ragnarok developer hinted that he has some big plans for the near future. While Grassetti wasn't the only artist on the team, he played a significant role in spearheading the franchise's visual redesign. His 9.5 years with Sony included serving as the principal artist for 2018's God of War and art director on God of War Ragnarok. Grassetti announced that he was leaving Sony in a series of tweets earlier today. God of War Ragnarok's art director described his departure as bittersweet and expressed his gratitude for the opportunities he had working with Sony, which he compared to a second home. Grassetti said he was particularly glad he had a chance to work on the God of War series. In addition, he gave special thanks to co-workers Cory Barlog, Eric Willems, Yumi Yang, Rhodey Scott, and the rest of the Santa Monica studio team. Prior to joining Sony, Grassetti's career included character art for games including Crackdown 2, Risen 2 Dark Waters, The Witcher 2, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Origins, Mass Effect 3 and some of its DLCs, and Dragon Age Inquisition. He joined Sony after leaving BioWare in 2012, working as art supervisor on The Order 1886, Infamous Second Son, and Killzone Shadowfall before joining Santa Monica Studio the following year. Grassetti clarified that his departure from Santa Monica Studio was amicable, and he continues to have faith in the studio's success. The former God of War developer also expressed a hope that he might have more opportunities to collaborate with Santa Monica Studio in the future. However, the veteran game artist did not say what's next for his career, though he promised that he would make an announcement next week. Grassetti didn't give any hints as to where he is heading, but it must be something big to walk away from Santa Monica Studio so soon after its major success with God of War Ragnarok. Then again, 9 years is a long time, so it may just be that Grassetti is looking for a change of pace. He was not the best in the God of War series on art and character design, but hopefully, he finds just as much success in his new venture, and Santa Monica Studio brings a new talent that can push the boundaries of creativity in the God of War universe. A well-known industry insider recently shared a depressing prediction for the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, speculating that the much-anticipated game is never coming out. His grim forecast emerged just as the fandom started speculating that the KOTOR remake might appear at Sony's next PlayStation showcase. The KOTOR remake was originally announced with a September 2021 teaser which revealed that the game will be a timed PS5 exclusive before making its way to PC. And while the title initially targeted a 2022 launch, it ended up getting hit with an indefinite delay before publisher Embracer Group took the project from Texas-based Aspire Media and gave it to Saber Interactive, another one of its subsidiaries. This turn of events, coupled with repeated insider accounts of a troubled development cycle, fueled speculation that the KOTOR remake is merely a pipe dream. Established industry insider Jeff Grubb appears to share that sentiment, having predicted that the remake of the iconic 2003 RPG is never coming out. Grubb shared that forecast during the latest episode of his Game Mess podcast after being asked whether he thinks the KOTOR remake will come out before the Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. While the Prince of Persia remake also appears lost to the sands of time, Grubb noted that he still expects that game to come out eventually. As grim as these remarks are, they should not be interpreted as a death sentence for the KOTOR remake. Aside from the fact that Grubb presented his insight as merely a prediction, it's worth remembering that not everyone shares his pessimistic stance on the future of this troubled project. On the contrary, some industry watchers recently posited that Dead Island 2's development hell inspires hope for the KOTOR remake. Not least because it sets a precedent for a contemporary development cycle that managed to result in a critically acclaimed game in spite of its many difficulties, including multiple developer changes. Whether Saber Interactive manages to defy the odds like Dambuster Studios did with Dead Island 2 remains to be seen. But as things stand right now, the KOTOR remake is still far from going gold. According to the original August 2022 report about the project switching developers, sources close to Embracer estimated that the game will require at least 2 more years of intensive development following its transition to Saber. Assuming Grubb's depressing prediction doesn't come true, that would at best put the Knights of the Old Republic remake as a holiday 2024 release. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan has reinforced Sony's commitment to the Japanese gaming market in a new interview with Famitsu, where he states it continues to be an important region for the company. Ryan explains, the Japanese market has been and will continue to be one of the most important markets. The reason for this is, of course, that the Japanese market is the second largest in the world. But more important than simple statistics is that Japan is the birthplace of PlayStation. He continues by discussing the Japanese games released over the past 30 years on PlayStation hardware, name-dropping the likes of Final Fantasy, Monster Hunter, and Tekken. SIE has a long history of relationships with developers and publishers, so the Japanese market is extremely important in that sense as well. On Sony's strategy in Japan, Ryan said, "It is to send out games that are highly compatible with the Japanese market. Elden Ring, Resident Evil 4, Monster Hunter Rise, Wild Hearts, etc. have already been released on PS5. These games were born in Japan and were released in Japan." Looking to the future, he then highlights Final Fantasy XVI and Street Fighter VI. Both of which will be huge and important launches for the world, but Japanese game fans will have a particularly high affinity for them. Jim Ryan's comments on the Japanese region after PlayStation has been criticized for seemingly winding down its first-party operations in Japan, having effectively closed down Japan Studio and only keeping Astro's Playroom developer Team Asobi around. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan has confirmed that the company will continue its current plan when it comes to releasing exclusive titles on the PC. Exclusive PlayStation games will still end up on PC, but not as a day-one release. The first exclusive game from PlayStation to receive a PC port was Horizon Zero Dawn in 2020. was a surprising move from the company that once preferred to keep its first-party titles on its own system. After the success of Horizon's PC port, the company moved to release more exclusives to PC due to the ease of making them available to non-console owners. Some of the biggest PlayStation hits have landed on PC, including God of War 4 and Marvel's Spider-Man, leading many gamers to wonder if future PlayStation giants would ever end up on PC day one. In Jim Ryan's most recent interview with Famitsu, the CEO was asked about the surprising amount of PlayStation games ported to PC so far and if future exclusives would be ported to PC sooner. Ryan claims that waiting 2 to 3 years to port over exclusive titles has been working for Sony so far and that there are no plans to change this strategy. He also pointed out, when I ask game fans how they feel about the time lag, they often say they feel the release of a PC version 2 or 3 years after the release of the PlayStation version is acceptable. Ryan also commented on the importance of PS5 exclusives and how it's PlayStation Studios' responsibility to create games for their most recent high-end system. He added that the company would be upping the number of exclusive titles for the system and then releasing these titles to the PC at a later date. When talking about PlayStation games getting ported to the PC, it's hard not to think about the disastrous The Last of Us PC port released earlier this year. PlayStation has an unfortunate history of releasing not-so-stellar versions of its exclusives to PC, including the launches of Horizon Zero Dawn and Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Before releasing more exclusives to PC, Sony may need to iron out the bugs first to maintain the excitement of the fan base. Still, successes like God of War and Marvel's Spider-Man have shown that quality ports are possible. It's good to hear these words, but only time will tell that actions reflect them. Also from that interview, we got a info that Ghost of Tsushima has sold 1 million copies in Japan alone. These are the important topics from that interview, but you can check out the full Famitsu interview at their official website. 1.4 million PC and console games were sold across Europe during April, a drop of 5.3% over the same period in 2022. This is based on GSD data, which covers physical game sales from major European markets and digital sales from most major publishers. April's game sales were led by Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which beat FIFA 23 to claim the #1 spot despite only being on sale for a few days when this data was collected. It's a strong launch for the new Star Wars game, with sales up almost 6% on its predecessor, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was released in November 2019. 55% of Survivor sales were digital, whereas for Fallen Order it was 35%, highlighting how digital has accelerated for single-player games across Europe during the pandemic. The other big new release of the month was Dead Island 2, which debuts at number 3. It's been so long since the original Dead Island we don't have numbers to compare, but it seems to have done well. Sales are about a third lower than what the remake of Resident Evil 4, released in March, managed over 2 weeks, and that is a far more established series. Despite the success, the two big new games of the month couldn't quite match last year's big release, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. The next highest performing new release last month was Minecraft Legends, although the game only reached number 19 in its debut month. In terms of hardware sales, across selected markets, console sales rose nearly 58% compared with April last year. All three major platforms performed strongly. PS5 sales are up 144% over April last year and was the best-selling platform of the month. Nintendo Switch sales rose nearly 38%, while Xbox Series S and X sales are up over 19%. However, compared with March, only Nintendo Switch sales increased month-on-month. This was in part due to the release of a special edition console, which arrived at the end of the month ahead of the new Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom. Sales of accessories and other add-on products grew 11% over April last year, with more than 1.2 million products sold. The PS5 DualSense controller leads the pack, followed by the Xbox Series wireless controller. And that's all for the video, guys. Like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics, and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then, from SMPV, it's goodbye.